Mic check. Okay. Good morning. I don't know if anyone's going to join me this week. Oh, there are a couple of people. So good morning, Leonette. Good morning, Tim. This is midterm week, so I'm happy to answer questions. Good morning, Justin. Anyway, I'm happy to answer questions, but I'm just going to do a brief review of the things of what the midterm is going to be like, and then a brief review of the content that's on there. So let's first go and just do some reminders about how the week's going to work. So this week is the week of October 19th. There is a link in here to the midterm just so for the big dates, but if you go to the week 9 module, okay, there we go. The only thing you will see there is the midterm exam. So there is no discussion this week. There is no lab assignment this week. There's no new content. The whole week is about the midterm exam. That's the only assignment you have, is the midterm. If you go to Piazza and look for this week, by the way, you'll find, in fact, I'll just go show you real quick while we're looking at it. If you were to go to Piazza, I think I did this. And pull up this week and then go to week 9, you'll just see one note from me that says no discussion this week. So just a good luck. So again, no discussion, no lab assignment, only the midterm. So there's no new content. Okay, so with that said, let's go through just a quick review. And again, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Good morning. Good morning, Tim. Okay, so Notepad++. All right, so just start with just some tips about how the midterm works. So the questions on the midterm, there are 50 of them. I can make that improvement. There are 50 questions. Oh, outstanding. Okay, so there still is the team project, and let's see in chat that Team 1 has been communicating, so that's perfect. This is a thing that you want to get to sooner than later because the team project is due first week of November, I think. So as soon as you put the midterm to rest, don't forget the team project is out there. I probably should have put a reminder page. I might go do that when I'm done here today. Okay, so the midterm has 50 questions. They are randomly drawn from the lab assignments from week 1 through 8, so the first 8 weeks of the semester. It's an open book exam, so your goal is to get the best result that you can, and you can sit there at your computer and use whatever resources you need to get the best result that you can. Probably you're in the habit, but just as a reminder, I recommend that you run your virtual machine so that you can confirm that the commands as you type them are doing what they're supposed to do. Pardon me, before you commit an answer. There's no time limit, so in Canvas there's a feature where someone can only give you an hour to complete an assignment. There's no time limit, so you can start your midterm and come back later. The only limit is that it's due before midnight on Sunday. Just like all assignments are, they're always due at the end of the week. So there's no timer on it, but there is the submission deadline, which is this Sunday before midnight. The midterm doesn't allow any second chances, so on the weekly labs you can do it once and then redo it, but on the midterm there's no redo. So once you click the submit on the midterm, it's done. So check and double check your work before you click submit, because once you click submit, it's over. You're done with it. And again, just a reminder that there are no other assignments, just the midterm this week. It's enough. 50 questions is plenty enough work that we shouldn't be adding more on top of that. Okay. So the topics. This I recommend probably that you do for yourself, but what I did is I went through the lab assignments week by week by week, and I pulled out the major topics, and I also pulled out the commands that you might encounter. So the week 1 stuff, week 1 had questions about what is an operating system. It had some questions about basic Linux history, had some questions about what a distribution is, had a question or two about comparing Unix and Linux. It had some questions about Ubuntu, although some of you will find that if you haven't touched the midterm yet, I actually removed some of those because I thought I didn't want you to have to go look at Ubuntu. But if you see Ubuntu questions, remember that's the first virtual machine that we did, and hopefully you still have that. But if you don't, you can always go back and re-download it off the week 1 module. And then some questions about the root user account. The 2 commands that you see in week 1 are who am I and uname. Okay, week 2 introduces the concept of a shell, and then more specifically the bash shell that we are using in our class. So we used bash on Ubuntu, and we're also using bash as our shell on CentOS. The commands that you encountered in week 2 were man pages. This is an important one while you're taking the exam. If in doubt about what a command does, a good place to start is the man page for it. And also, of course, you could do web research if you want to, but man pages are always a good resource for describing what a command does, what its default behaviors are, and what its optional behaviors are. The ls command, the what is command, the make directory command, present working directory, and there was a question about sudo. We haven't really used sudo except for in the first 2 weeks of the semester, but we will be using sudo after the midterm. But anyway, there is a question about sudo early on in week 2. Week 3. So week 3 was files and the file system. The big star of week 3 was the file system hierarchy standard, which is the standard definition of what Linux directory names are and what those standardized directories have for their contents. So for example, /user/bin is where you tend to find user utilities or commands on a Linux system. There's also a little bit of content about the root directory, which is /, and also where you tend to find regular user account home directories. The commands in week 3 were ls again, but this time adding some options. And again, the man page is a good place to go look for what the options are and what they do. The change directories command, some review of present working directory command, the make dir command again, and then we added some, so the rm or remove command to delete stuff, the move, which is also a way to rename command, the copy command, cp, the shred command, which is a secure remove, the file command, if you haven't tried it, it's the command this time, so if you type file space and the name of a file, it tells you information about that file. And finally the touch command, which you've seen me use a whole bunch of times to create empty files. Okay, week 4. Week 4, the big issue was big P path versus little p path. So big P path is where the shell looks for commands and executables. It's a shell variable, and it's a list of directories that the shell looks through when you type a command to see if it can find a command that matches what you typed in that list of directories. Little p path is the location in the directory tree of a particular file or directory. And then we also talked in week 4 about the concept of the absolute path, which is the location of a file or directory starting from slash, the root, or relative path, which is the location of a file or directory starting from the present working directory. The only command I found in week 4 was the which command. And the reason why the which command is there, because it actually will tell you where on your path it finds a command if it can find it. Week 4 was when we started first to use VI. So we talked about modes. The two major modes are command mode and insert mode. We talked a little bit about how to move the cursor around in command mode. And we also talked about the ways that you can write or save and quit the VI editor in command mode. Week 5. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for this quick rundown. So week 5, there weren't any new concepts. We just sort of talked about a whole bunch of different commands that week. For the most part, week 5 was what we would call text-related commands. So it's commands that allow you to explore text files in different ways. The head command, which gives you the ability to look at the tops of files in different ways. The tail command, which gives you the ability to look at the bottoms of files in different ways. The more and less commands, which we call pagers. What they allow you to do, though, is open up a file and then page through them at your own pace. So these are basically text reading programs that allow you to move the text at your own pace and read them. We call those pagers. The word counting command, WC, but it also will count lines and characters. And then two ways of comparing files, the CMP command and the diff command. And then the sort command to sort the contents of a text file. So these are all commands that are related to doing things with text files. We also continued with VI in week 5. So we reviewed from command mode, how do you write or save your work? How do you quit? How do you quit without saving those commands? And then we also reviewed some cursor movement options while you're in command mode in VI. Okay, week 6. So week 6 added pipes and redirection. We haven't used these heavily. We will more when we do scripting, but we have two redirection symbols. One is overwrite, which is the greater than. The other is append, which is the double greater than. And then we have the pipe command, which allows us to route the output of one command into another command. So we can use pipes to connect up a series of commands together. And the output of this one becomes the input of that one, becomes the input of that one, and so on. Those were sort of the concepts of week 6. Sorry about that. Week 6. And then we added a few more text-related commands. We have cat. So what cat does is it dumps the contents of a file on the screen. It does not page it, meaning you can't control moving up and down in it. It just dumps all of it at once. So if it's a really big file, cat will just go sort of streaming by until it's out of text to spit onto the screen. We continued working with the sort command. We added the unique utility. The reason why sort and unique come together is because unique doesn't really work on files that aren't sorted. So most of the time you have to sort something before you can run the unique command on it. We also did the translate command, which is how you can sort of find and replace text in a text file. And we also did the cut command. That's one that you need to be careful of because it's the most complicated command that we've done up to this point. But again, just review the questions. It's the same questions drawn randomly for the midterm. Has a man page, but cut is one of those commands that works a lot better if you experiment with it while you're working to make sure that you actually get correct outputs and that you kind of understand by working with it what it does. Okay, so we also continue with VI in week 6. We did text searching in VI. We added the ability to delete a line, added the ability to undo edits, and then we did also copy and paste. I don't expect you to memorize any of these things, of course, but there are questions that may appear, so make sure you review those and have access to that information when you're doing the midterm. So more VI in week 6. All right, getting down there, week 7. Hopefully you can see the whole thing. You can't. Okay. Oh, it's nice and big too. Week 7. So we didn't do that many new commands in week 7. We did the date command and some various options. You can use date to format the output of date. And you can also use date to jump around in time. You can jump forwards and backwards and see what's today, a year from now, that kind of stuff. We had the calendar command, and then we did a bunch of grep commands. So grep is a text matching or a text searching utility. That's another one like cut that's easier to understand if you do some hands-on experiments with it. So take your time, type in the commands, confirm that they actually work as expected before you commit yourself to an answer. We continued working with VI in week 7. So we did some review of cursor movement. We did some review of the writing and quitting, which are sort of some of the big ones. We also did a review of how do you delete a line, and we reviewed how do you undo a recent edit. And then week 8. That's probably one of the more difficult things that we've done so far in the semester is week 8. The concept of a process versus a job. So I'll just remind you here, a process is an instance of a running program. So whenever you type a command and press enter, you have launched a process in Linux. So every time you type a command, no matter how you type it and you press enter, if it's a legitimate command, you have created a process. Most processes run very quickly and then just end. But we did a whole bunch of experiments in week 8 where we turned processes into jobs. So every job is also a process, but not every process is a job. So we can turn a process into a job in a couple of different ways. One of the ways we can turn a process into a job is by launching it in the background, which we did experiments with. When you launch a process in the background, you add it to the shell's management structure, and you now have a job, and you can use the shell's jobs command to go view your jobs, your processes that are now being managed as jobs. And one type of job is a background process. That's a job. The other way that we created a job was to take a process and suspend it. We did that in a couple of different ways. We did Control-Z, which is a way to suspend the currently running process. We also used the kill command to send the suspend signal to a process, which turns it into a job. So we have seen background processes and suspended processes, which both turn them into not only processes, but also now jobs that can be managed with the shell. That one might be a good one. Hopefully I did a decent lecture on it, or at least a usable lecture on it. If you're unsure, that might be one to take a little bit more time to review before you hit the midterm. I believe that you're only going to see 6 questions from week 8, but they're randomly chosen, so they might be the difficult ones. So I recommend that one was the most difficult thing we've done so far. That if you're pretty confident about all the material, that's great, but you might take a few moments or whatever time is required to go do some review on processes versus jobs. The commands related to processes and jobs were the PS command, which is how you view processes, the jobs command, which is how you view jobs. Jobs are simply processes that have been taken over in their management by the shell. Background processes and suspended processes. And then the kill command, which sounds like its only job, its only purpose is to terminate a process, but it turns out that you can use the kill command to send a variety of signals to a process. You can send the suspend to it. You can send a variety of signals that have different effects on processes. I will remind you that you can view the available signals with the kill-L command. We'll give you a list of the signals, both their names and their numbers. So you can use signals by name or by number. That's our 8 weeks of content. I do want to say, before I shut down, thank you for there were really nice words of encouragement in Piazza, so thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope that the rest of you had a chance to read through some of your classmates' just words of encouragement, because I thought that just felt good to have that. It made me feel good to read people saying nice things and encouraging each other to do well on the midterm, which is what the wish I will leave you with is good luck on the midterm. My best day is a day when everyone gets 100%, because that feels good for you and it feels good for me, promise you. So I hope you all do terrific on the midterm. I hope you give yourself plenty of time to do a little bit of review, to take the time that you need on each question to do your best to get it right. Type in the commands in your VM if you're in doubt and see what they do before you commit to an answer. Otherwise, I think that's all I have for you. Your time is probably better spent having a look at the midterm and making time to do a little bit of review and then go starting that. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes and I'll field questions if there are any. Hopefully I've answered your questions if you have them about how the midterm works. But if not, I'll watch chat here for a few minutes and I'll answer those questions. I am going to go put a reminders page in the module so that everyone remembers. And thank you, Tim, for reminding me to remind you all that the team project is out there. It's not hard. It's going to take a little bit of time to do a little bit of research and do a little bit of exploration on a new distribution. Okay, so have a great week. Good luck on the midterm. Please do well. For me, but also for you, of course. And I will add a reminders page to the module this week so that you'll get the reminder about the team project. And if you haven't communicated, please do, like Tim is saying in chat, that Team 1 has been communicating. Okay, that's me. I'm done. Have a great week, and I will be back. Thanks, Dynamite. You have a good one too, and I'll see everyone next week on Tuesday, and we'll do some new stuff. We're going to install some new software in the pretty near future, so we're going to make our CentOS setup a lot more pleasant to work with. We'll give ourselves some graphic capabilities here in the very near future. So, thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. Yes. So let me know, War Dog, if the top half is good. And I had another page of sort of just tips about how the midterm itself works, not the questions on it, but how it works. So if you want to see that, let me know, and I'll switch over to it after you get a screenshot. Yeah. So I'm going to scroll down and put, let's get, there's week 4. Um, yeah, well, I could make the text smaller, but probably this is better, just to be sure it's legible. So there's week 4, 5, and 6. And let me know, War Dog, if you want me to go down to the bottom after that as well. Okay. Does anybody want me to switch over to the tips? I'll just do it just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to switch over to the tips page that I started with, just to make sure everyone has a chance to capture that if you want. So this tips page is just how it works, how the midterm works, not the content that's on it. Okay, so if you're I've been checking the chat. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, hey, Newman. Nice to see you, man. Yeah, hope things are all well. Yeah, drop me a line, Neonat, and let's catch up a little bit. I still have my old email address um, to set up a little time to chat together. I'd enjoy that. All right, everybody, I'm down to a couple minutes here, unless there's awesome. Yeah. Um, so, if anybody has any questions for me, if you came after I did it, I've just sort of done a fairly quick review of how the midterm's going to work and the content that's on it. So I'll upload this video here as soon as I stop broadcasting here in a couple minutes. So that should be within an hour or so. You'll be able to go back through it. But I'll go ahead and wait out until 11:30 just in case anyone's dropping in and has any questions. Okay, I think we're good. Take care, everybody. Good luck this week. We'll see you on hopefully some number of it at least, but you'll see me here next Tuesday morning as usual. So good luck this week. Have a good week. If you have any questions, just drop me a Canvas inbox message and I will answer it. So see you next week.